Hello there, and welcome to The Night Owl, our show that we do twice a week where we cover pop culture events, movie, TV reviews, and things that are happening in the gaming world. As usual, I'm Price of Reason, and I have my co-host with me, Dreadroberts. How's it going, Dread?
What is going on, Price? Same as usual, a bunch of crazy stuff. World is on fire, and all we can do is talk about it. Oh, and by the way, before we begin, two things. One, our screen is not up. And two, hello, Rita, over in Rumble Chat.
And then is that Rida Ibn Muhammad?
It says Rita 313.
I'm taking a guess because there aren't a million Ritas, so I'm gonna
Yeah, it really narrows it down for us.
probably yes. In any case, it's nice to see Rita here, and we're going to go back. Uh, there's a lot of interesting things going on today.
Yes, there
Yeah,
is.
see, it said same, lol. So, yes, I think I was right here. In any case, we have a lot of. It's Guy as in YouTube. Hail chat, hail panel.
Yep.
Thank you for being here. We appreciate it. And yeah, today was a day full of interesting events. For starters, you had a interesting situation with Disney. I don't know. Are you aware of what happened today?
No, see, my feed was mostly filled with a lot of U.S. politics uh, today. I didn't get to see much of what was going on in Hollywood. I did
Yeah,
see some of
no,
what
there was
PlayStation was doing, though.
certainly a lot of stuff that was more political. I also see Kivo 1961 here. How's it going, Kivo?
Kivo.
So yeah, it was cool. Um, Let me think for a second. So we had this situation with Disney and the stock. Now, I don't know if people are aware, but there was this whole stock situation, not the stock, the investors meeting, and you had Nelson Peltz for a while. Nelson Peltz was what's called an activist investor. Now, he and a few other people that had a lot of shares of Disney, they got together and they were trying to do a little bit of a revolt there when it came to the board of Disney to try to add some of their own people in addition to Bob Iger and his crew, because they felt that Disney was heading in the wrong direction, whether it be the level of their content, way too political, and really the things they were saying were very true. And they wanted to be more hands-on involved and really steer the company in a different direction. All
Hmm.
positive things. But then what happened is that Bob Iger already one time managed to kind of appease him, and it turned out he wouldn't be on the board. But then when he didn't like the changes that Bob Iger wasn't really making, he wasn't really making enough change. He wanted to be on the board with another guy called Jay Rizzullo, and he proposed that they would be a part of the board for Disney. And this became a very kind of public and ugly kind of battle where Disney invested tens of millions of dollars, maybe 70 million, a lot of money to put
Wow.
out ads and campaigns so that just everyday investors or even the other investors would all support them. They also launched this narrative that, if you're voting for Nelson Peltz, then you're voting for the Orange Man and Disney and all this other kind of stuff. They tried every trick in the book, and at the end, they somehow, I think that Nelson Peltz may have gotten like a third of the votes he needed, which all things considered is rather impressive, but Bob Iger had
Hmm.
a very strong hold over all these investors, and at the end, they ultimately, for whatever reasons, ended up going with him. What turned out is that while all of this was happening, um, that day, that morning, where like the media and everybody was propping up Disney and propping up Iger, and the stock was going up, as Nelson Peltz pretty much understood that he wasn't going to get on this board and that the media kind of hyped the stock when it was $120, which was like much higher than it had been in a long time and higher than when he bought it. He bought the stocks when they were like 70 or $80. So he sold the stocks. And it only turns out today that people, found out that he actually sold all of his stocks in Disney. He wasn't elected to the board. He saw what was going on, sold everything and jumped ship. Now, on one hand, you could say, well, he ran away. He wasn't elected, so he left. But the truth is, he left with $1 billion profit. Meaning, as far as a guy that runs an investor group, he had you know, $1 billion that he made in his investors, and it was a pretty shrewd business move, in my opinion. I think that
Wow.
basically, I think that basically, sorry, I have a cat meow in the background. I don't know if anybody could hear it.
Nice.
is is it audible or no? Now I'm like you with
I,
a
I
cat.
didn't hear nothing.
Oh, okay. So in
Yeah.
any case, what happened is that I think that what he did was rather brilliant. He already knew he can't get on this board, and they're doing everything. They're willing to spend $70 million so this guy doesn't get a seat at the table, even though he had control of a lot of shares and he was doing all the right moves to sort of get a board seat. And they were doing everything because they didn't want him there. So at the end of the day, he dumped the stock, made his investors $1 billion, which nobody can complain about. From his perspective, it's a win. And the other thing is, maybe it's just like he just doesn't feel like being involved with him anymore. It's he tried his best. He just said, "I want to be involved. I want to do this," and he's like, "Well, what? It's not worth my time." And I'm sure that the news trades and everybody's going to spin this as a big win for Bob Iger, but I tend to think that this is actually not such a big win for Bob Iger. I think that the
Hmm.
fact that this guy was an investor that wanted to make a difference and that he really made such an effort to really take control or do something here to change the trajectory of the company. And the fact that at the end he's not even on the board and he doesn't have a say in anything, and Iger just gets rid of anybody with any kind of idea that's sort of different than his. I don't think that's a good sign in the big picture.
How much did he? How much are we talking that he sold? Like how much? How much was the value of all the stocks that he sold?
Let's see if I can find this. Give me a second.
You said he made $1 billion in profit. That's an insane amount of money. Also, it really is weird how Disney still manages to come out on top in these situations. I mean, they're probably happy that that guy's gone, and yeah, he probably did have his win. But man,
Let's see.
also hello Rita on the YouTube side. I see you switched over. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. What in the so so Bob Iger doesn't see this as a loss.
Yeah, Bob Iger. Oh, I was trying to share something. I guess it didn't. Did it share it or not?
No, it did not actually. Well, I saw the screen, but it wasn't behind us. So
Ah, I see. You're right.
yeah,
Let's see if I can. Here you go. Sorry. Thanks for that.
yeah, no
Uh,
problem.
that it's good that you're here. That you sometimes bring things to my attention. In any, in any case, Nelson Peltz sells entire Disney stake weeks after losing proxy battle, and
Man,
let's see what he had. He sold all of his Disney stock at roughly $120 a share. They're like 100, meaning he really like saw that there was a peak
yeah.
during that battle when they wanted him out and when they didn't want to let him on the board, and he sold it then. He made about $1 billion on the position. The stock currently trades for about $100 per share. Let's see if they say exactly how many shares or what he did. I actually don't see it, but I'm sure it appears somewhere. Let's see if here what his entire stake was. I
Well,
mean,
they
they're
know
all
that he
saying that he
got a
made.
yeah. They're all talking about his return that he made on it, which is a lot. I mean, he made over $1 billion. It's a lot of stocks to
You
sell.
know, as a guy that has an investment fund, if you say I just made us all $1 billion, I think that nobody's complaining over at the Pelts camp right now. And
No.
at the end of the day, there's also something. It just only shows that he just doesn't have any patience for this anymore. Now, I saw a Valiant Renegade, and he said something along the lines that you never know if Disney stock suddenly drops to like, 70, 60, 40, 50. Maybe he jumps in and buys it again, tries another round. And
Oh
it's
yeah, that's
possible, I
possible.
guess, but we don't know that for sure.
No, no, not for sure. No. Also, hello six. Saw you wave there. I'm just on chat tonight.
Yeah,
uh,
no, hey Six, how's it going? So that was the story with Bob Iger and Nelson Peltz. Personally, I if I was Nelson Peltz, I wouldn't return to this. A guy has an investment fund. He has a lot of things he can invest in. He doesn't need this headache. I wouldn't go. So
yeah,
that
it's
that's what.
crazy though. Like he came in and he made 1 billion and left. I mean, that's it.
Yeah,
It's kind of amazing that he did that.
yeah. I'm sure he's probably happy. It's good for him. And I guess what was the next thing on the other thing, and this is also interesting. We have Kathleen Kennedy. You
Yeah,
know,
she hates us.
she's so annoying. She just like this is just I'm tired of this crap that like she's been doing the same stupid maneuver since about 2017. It's like if this would have happened in 2017, everybody would have been up in arms, and now I think everybody just rolls their eyes. We're already used to it. She has a show coming out. It's probably going to be terrible. She probably knows that it's going to be terrible. There's probably very little interest in it. It's supposed to be some big thing that she wanted. She hired Leslie Headland, who used to work for Harvey Weinstein, to be the showrunner, even though I'm not sure why. And they're standing around now lecturing people, as if there's some kind of moral superiority here, which is just
Yeah,
ridiculous.
that was really brave of her to say when she's talking about Star Wars being male dominated as if it's something that needs to be carefully navigated. You know,
Right,
like
but
as if a bunch of women are in danger everywhere.
in this one statement, this just explains what, and I'm sorry because I have no other word to describe her. What a dumb idiot Kathleen Kennedy is. Not that she even knows this. This is all just a game for her. I mean, don't think she's just an annoying. But the thing is that she is saying, "Oh, like males. It's male dominated the fan base, and males don't seem to be happy with what's happening here. Yeah, they don't seem to be happy. Maybe you should start asking yourself a question. You've been given a male dominated franchise, and for about 7 years, all you've been doing is making it that the males are stupid and the women are the best."
That is weird. Like yeah, that's actually a really good point because it is aimed at mostly males. So she's been taking the IP and slowly trying to push males out in several different ways, and it's just such a weird thing to see her do. It's like anti-business, whatever it is. And I mean, like, if you're being handed a franchise that is male dominated, why is it that you would go so far out of your way to try and change that rather than find ways to appeal to it? You know, if you're you're in the business market and you're trying to make money, this just isn't the way to do it. And then doubling and tripling down, it seems like every year after year, including today when they're saying things like um uh Kathleen Kennedy attacking people on in interviews that can be seen by everybody, where she's saying, "Well, women have to be protected, and the male-dominated space, it's it's a wild place." And I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, This is, I mean, this is Star Wars, and you were entrusted the keys to such a huge franchise, and it's just it's kind of just disgusting to see that the attacks continue even after." Um, One other important thing is that people pretty much already know that Star Wars is dead, and probably Kathleen Kennedy does too, and yet they still have the audacity to say things like that, as if they haven't been divisive enough with their content and with their reactions to fan backlash. It's really disingenuous.
For sure. And the other thing is also, you have, I think, in the same article, I think Leslie Headland herself, she has things to say about uh, how, like, the people that are not supportive. They're instant phobes and they're not fans. It's the same type of dumb thing that we had with the Obi-Wan show that they're already preparing. They're already preparing in advance all the different shielding. They're shielding themselves from any criticism because it's like, well, people that don't like it, they're here, she says, I stand by my empathy for Star Wars fans, but I want to be clear. Anyone who engages in bigotry or hate speech, I don't consider a fan. This is exactly the same exact talking points for Ewan McGregor and that stupid thing that he was talking about in his car with that Riva character. It's like, you can't, on the one hand, say that this is a male dominated fan base and has always been, and then start making excuses and doing all this dumb stuff. You made another show with another group of girl bosses. At least that's what it looks like. And you're already trying to cover yourself of no, there's so many toxic males. It's like, read the room, understand who
Mm,
your target audience is. Women like to watch rom-coms and they like to watch what do they like to watch? Rom-coms, trying to think what else. Barbie. You know, there's
yeah,
things that they like to watch that's targeted for women. Now, there is about, let's say, 10 to 20% of women that genuinely like the kind of stuff that we that like, science fiction, that like Star Wars, that like Star Trek. There are 10-20% women. When you do like one of those pie charts, you'll find like 10 to 20% women who actually like it. The only thing that I'll say is that those women that like it, usually they're of the mindset that they like it the way it is. It's not like they watch it and think, oh, we need 70 girl bosses here. I think they watch it because they like it for the same reasons we like it. Meaning, they don't mind that there's men doing stuff. They're not saying, oh, we don't want any more men here. Usually, the ones that are like, we think are cool and they like this stuff, they'll like it for the same reasons we like it, if that makes any sense.
yeah. Well, I kind of think that it's weird that she kind of contradicts herself here. This is Leslie Hudland, right? That's the one that's saying this. She says, "As a fan myself, I know how frustrating some Star Wars telling in the past has been." So she relates to fans in this statement and like acknowledges that that storytelling for Star Wars has been crap lately. She said, "I've even felt it myself," and then doubles down on that point, saying, "I stand by my empathy for Star Wars fans." But then she says, "But." And it's just so weird that she says that because she's like, well, anyone who engages in bigotry, racism, or hate speech, I don't consider a fan. And it's like most of the criticism for this is just seeing a bunch of red flags that point to Disney's, regular so and so woke agenda that they've been doing. And instead of just saying, well, yeah, we get you, so we're going to try and make a good Star Wars show, they're saying, well, we get you and we understand exactly why you're frustrated, but you guys are also biggest racists and haters and stuff. And it's like, well, then why are you even acknowledging that any of this is happening? It's very obvious why, like what they're doing with the show, that they're making it very female centric and that they're trying to change Star Wars from male to female. The Force is female, all that stuff. So why are you trying to relate the fan? It feels like a gaslight, like just one big gaslight again. And
Yeah, I
it's
just
just
I can't stand these same talking points over and over. It's funny that when you deliver a good show, nobody needs any of this nonsense. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Always this dumb stuff comes out, and then the thing comes out, and it's crap. It's like, how many times are you going to do the exact same thing, and the entire media just goes along with it over and over again, and it's just so frustrating. Like I said, I'm not surprised anymore, and I'm not upset like I used to be. And I think also people don't have any expectations. Who's really excited about watching this stupid show anyways? It's it's pretty much everybody's expecting it to be terrible. I mean, if it was good, it would really be some kind of weird miracle. I don't think anybody expecting this thing to actually be good.
I feel like to get me back into Star Wars or to get me excited about it in the same way that I was, I mean, I guess for before The Force Awakens, to just get me to that hype level again, I mean, they would have to do a drastic 180 in storytelling for a Star Wars show or a movie. I mean, they would have to just 100% fan service and create like the best story and movie possible because at this point you've just killed my interest. If you've killed my interest, and I'm I'm a pretty reasonable guy when it comes to content, across the space. I can give things a chance and, form a second opinion and even come back and change my mind about some things. But I mean, they've really attacked Star Wars to the point where I just don't even care anymore. So I imagine a lot of fans feel that same way. And in order for Disney to make better with fans, which I don't think is going to happen, I mean, they would have to make some serious changes at this point. So pushing a show like The Acolyte, probably not the best thing. I mean, it really doesn't give any kind of interesting hook other than some kind of weird shark face Sith character, who a lot of, I don't know. It's just, I'm looking at the whole thing and I'm just seeing gaslighting and just not listening to fans and just continuing to do the show that you want. Like, they also, one big thing that I hate that they keep doing, and The Acolyte is proof of this. They keep going back in time, and they just refuse to move forward with the story. And it's like we have to wait for a Rey movie to come out in a few years, and I'm not interested. But they just keep going back in time and like trying to create prequels or fill in gaps to try and it's like they're, and by the way, all these things they're doing with them trying to connect dots between movies here and there, they're changing context in so many aspects of Star Wars by now that it's just all become a muddled mess. So like
Right.
little lore aspects that used to be mysteries or that were better explained have now become convoluted, or um it's just ridiculous. So yeah, I don't know.
Well, I mean, I think that also there is some kind of weird irony here. I've said before, I met Leslie Headland years ago, and she didn't do anything specifically that I thought was terrible, I guess. But at the same time, she worked for those guys for years, and you know, I think that for many reasons, her kind of lecturing to other people feels a bit weird
Mhm.
and annoying. But it is what it is. I wouldn't have hired her to do this show, and I also think that it's not a good look for a company that pretends to be all high and mighty. This is not a good look. Not to mention, even in like Gina Carano's lawsuit, if I'm not mistaken, I think that they mentioned Headland there as somebody that was sort of stirring up certain problems for Gina, which I
Mm.
didn't like hearing about personally either.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember we talked about that a little bit too.
Yeah, so I don't have anything special to say about her. I know that this is my humble opinion. Without the person that she worked for a number of years, she probably wouldn't have had a career at all. The fact that she was able to, eventually write on shows and write plays and do all this stuff, I certainly think that that gave her some kind of advantage. And given that that's her advantage, it's not all that great, with all this feminism and women's stuff. At the end, there's something about this that comes off as very kind of phony or something,
Yep. Yep.
or
Oh,
odd to say the least.
I think odd is definitely a good word to use. Hello, Keely Chow. Keely Chow's here.
Keely
What is
Chow and
going
Six
on?
also said that women like reality TV, and I agree. Uh,
Hmm.
I'm not saying this is a bad thing. There's certain things that women like to watch, and that's traditionally what the type of programming that targets them and makes the most money with them. And there's certainly enough programming like that. Uh, I personally, just for example, have never watched the Kardashians because I don't have any reason to. But there are plenty of women that have watched that show and enjoy watching a bunch of women, arguing or bickering or whatever it is. And I'm not judging it by any, I'm not judging it. If that's a genre and you enjoy that, good for you. I don't have any problem with it. It's just, people have to also recognize what it is that women really flock to. I think that if there's a rom com, women are more responsive to it. Reality TV stuff like a Barbie, Sex in the City movie. There's certain things that they like. Now, sometimes there'll be movies that maybe it's like a boyfriend and a girlfriend can go to together. The horror genre has that sometimes, that I think men and women kind of like going to those kind of things together. It's kind of that type of genre. Uh, Maybe more like dramas, more even if it's not a rom com, things that are more dramatic. There are movies that are very female based. I was talking about that movie Babes, which I accidentally saw in that weird screening, and there were some women that seemed to enjoy that movie, even at my screening. It wasn't a movie for me, but I could suddenly see it really showed me. It showed me how a movie about pregnant women appealed to women, and that's fine.
Yes.
I don't have an issue with it. I don't have an issue that women enjoyed watching pregnant women on screen, and the things that we're talking about seem to resonate with them, and I don't have an issue with that at all. I made note of that I saw women enjoying what they were watching. It didn't speak to me at all, but then again, I'm a dude, so it didn't speak to me. But it just shows that there's certain movies that are good for certain genders.
Yes. No,
And I
right,
know some
because nobody's
people.
stepping on each other's toes. It's just where
Right,
it needs to be.
right, exactly. Now, there's crossover things, and there's things that maybe, men and women go together. And like I said, even in the ones that I said men like it, there's usually a percentage of women that enjoy that kind of genre too. Uh, at the end of the day, though, I think you have to really understand what your target audience is for every genre. And Hollywood has just ignored all of that. They've thrown it out, tossed it all out just so they can do their kind of DEI experiments. And that's how we ended up with the kind of thing that we ended up, which is a shame. But it
Yeah,
is
it
what it
really is.
is. Uh, I guess in addition to that, let me see.
Oh, Cannoli Sasquatch is here too. Hello, Cannoli Sasquatch.
Cannoli, what's up? Cannoli is a friend of mine.
And Putin's cat. Putin's cat asked if
Lynn's
we
cat is
start
a
you started a new stream.
Cannoli is a swell guy. You know that's why I said
Yes.
that. He's a good guy, Cannoli. No, but I'm serious. I really like Cannoli. He really is a good guy. I say that because once I plugged his stream somewhere and didn't. It wasn't a good plug, but my intentions were good. Let me see.
Yes.
Some other stories we should maybe touch upon.
Well,
Wh-
you
Yeah,
know, it
there.
really is it's just it's so weird that like Kathleen Kennedy is just saying things like that. You know, just like if it has not been made clear by now what people's opinions are, then you're either willfully ignorant and just living inside of this bubble where you can't see anything outside of it and what people are saying, or you see what people are saying and you're just evil uh, at this point.
Right. Let me see for a second. This was interesting. I wanted to show this. Actually, there were a bunch of interesting things going on. So we have Chris Hemsworth in talks to star in Transformers and GI Joe crossover movie. So I don't know what it is. I feel like Chris Hemsworth may need to fire his agent. He's an overall likable actor, but man, does he keep choosing projects that are not good for him. Really building a reputation that outside of Thor, most of his stuff is just kind of flop after flop or disappointment after disappointment. I'm not saying that this is going to be a disappointment. I'm just saying that he can't seem to choose good things. The only movies outside of Thor that I really liked was Extraction 1 and 2.
Yeah, well, yeah, those are good ones though.
Because
Uh,
those understand that he's an action star and tell him, okay, you got muscles, here's some guns, go kick some
yep.
ass, have some one-liners, go do it. And that works. That's what he's good at. He's good at that. That's Most people aren't good at that. You have a guy that's good at that, make use of him. All these things, and I feel they also convince him that he should try different things and try different creative directions. I think he's tried a lot of things and it's very nice, but I think he should really focus on like muscle man action with cool one-liners. Try that for a while. Try that on for size. In any
I
case, he's in
was
talk.
I was kind of confused at first because I didn't know if this is supposed to be a live action crossover with GI Joe or if it's going to be an animated one. Because if you recall, you and I had a stream prior where we talked about and watched that trailer for the new animated Transformers movie. And it was going to be like that prequel movie, and Chris Hemsworth is voicing Optimus Prime. So I was wondering, is this going to be that live action kind of crossover thing, or are we talking like the animated Transformers prequel Optimus Prime that you're voicing, and you're going to cross over with some animated GI Joe stuff, which both in my mind sound like a terrible idea. So
Yeah, so I guess I'll tell you the truth. I think it's a live action. They were already trying to cook this thing for a while. At the end of one of these movies, I can't remember which one, if it was Transformers or whatever, they already hinted that they're trying to do this thing. The way I see it, and I've talked about this before, I think that basically uh, both of these franchises, in a way, are at a dead end. You have Transformers. They made a lot of movies. The last one was kind of annoying and overly political, and people didn't love it, didn't make a ton of money. These G.I. Joe movies have been mostly floppy. You know, they haven't been that good. Most people have been disappointed. The last one, they had one with Cobra or whatever it was. That one didn't sit well with fans either. And I think that after all of their stuff and seeing that none of these things are generating money, they kind of went for kind of like a Freddy versus Jason. You know, they kind of said,
yeah,
okay, let's just throw together the Transformers and GI Joe and just put them in one movie, and people will have to see it, even if it just sounds ridiculous, even if it's not well done. The idea of these two brands together are somehow going to pique somebody's interest, and maybe we can make a few dollars. And maybe they can. Maybe for one movie they can squeeze out some kind of interest, but really they haven't really built anything to earn this. They haven't built some good franchise. They haven't done much of anything to make this work, and they're just trying to capitalize on the two brands, release something, and hope that it makes money. Maybe it will, but you know,
maybe.
until now, it doesn't look great to me. And I feel like once again, Chris Hemsworth is jumping in on some opportunity that may have seemed good to him when he was pitched this idea, but in reality, I don't know how good it is for him.
Yeah, honestly, all I really saw him as in Furiosa was just a Thor-like character, even as the bad guy. And I think
They
that he
tried
needs
to
to stay away from roles
change
like
his
that.
face with like prosthetics so he would look like more evil, but he
He literally
doesn't.
looks exactly the same.
Yeah, right. They changed his nose a bit, and it was kind of weird. Like, oh, we'll change his nose a bit, but you could
I
tell it's
guess
him.
interesting because I was like, what it changes, and the nose, okay, yeah. But I don't know. I like. I feel like they just need to make a really good GI Joe movie or a really good Transformers movie before they start crossing them over. For example, um, doubling down on the success of Bumblebee would have been a really good start because that movie was pretty decent. And maybe if they had just grown on that, that would have been nice. I don't
You
know.
know, even that movie, I feel like gets a bit more credit than it should. I think that one of the reasons that movie worked is like Haley Steinfeld. Even when they put her in crappy stuff, there's something a bit likable about her. She's not completely intolerable, and I think that along with Bumblebee, that's a character that people generally like. You know, it managed to skate by on some goodwill. But even that movie, I wasn't blown away by. I mean, it was better than
Right.
some of the other crap we've seen, but I didn't love it. You know what I mean? I just thought it was okay. Honestly, most of those Transformers movies to date haven't been that great. I kind of enjoyed the first one because it was just I hadn't seen a live action before. But anything that came afterwards has been just another rehash of that first one and probably not as good.
Yeah, I have said, to be fair, it is the same low IQ fans. Oh, and Backyard TARDIS, by the way, is here.
Backyard
And hello
TARDIS
to
is a good friend of
Ayev.
mine.
Yes, yes, and Backyard TARDIS is here often. We're always happy to see all of you here.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
But yeah, I mean that would mark two Transformers films that Chris Hemsworth is either attached to or starring in. Because he's Optimus Prime in the animated one coming out. The one where it looks like they're going to be deconstructing and just ripping the origins of the Transformers apart completely in order to tell a new tale. That was hilarious, by the way, because me and Price watched that trailer and we were just laughing at the stupidity of these characters who were just tumbling down a hill like they're in some kind of circus trying to transform and stuff. weird coming of age stuff. So I was like, is that what they're trying to do? Because he's already in a Transformers movie. So
Right. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you, but I don't have much excitement for this Transformers and GI Joe thing. You know, when it comes out, I'll probably watch it just out of sheer curiosity, and maybe that's what they're counting on, that just for the novelty of it, for the gimmick of it, a few people will go watch it. But when you don't really build something and you're just kind of randomly doing it, I wonder how much excitement they can really build around it, unless they can produce something that people see trailers and just are blown away by how great it looks. I
yeah.
don't really know. Now wait a second, and I'm wondering, didn't he play Chris? Didn't Chris play like some version of Optimus Prime's voice? I wonder. I wonder who.
What, like before he was in this new one coming out, or
Here,
what?
this would mark the second Transformers role for Hemsworth, that he's already starred in the animated movie Transformers. I knew it. He voices young
Yeah.
Optimus Prime back when he was in Orion Pax. So that there's a completely different thing going on. There's going to be an animated movie that comes
Okay.
out on September 20th.
All right.
And
So
that's
that
the one.
confirms it's two of them.
What'd you say?
So that confirms that it's going to be a different Transformers movie apart from the animated one.
Yes, okay, there's that one stupid animated one, and one they're doing just a crossover with G.I. Joe, where they're doing Transformers and G.I. Joe, and apparently he was already in the animated one voicing Optimus Prime for some reason, and now he's going to be in this one, I guess as a different role.
Yeah,
But
maybe.
you know, maybe what they're doing is this, and I'm just thinking to myself, maybe the logic of the studio is we'll take the Transformers, we'll take GI Joe, but we need some guy that people like, and Chris Hemsworth is good. I generally think he's likable. I'm not saying you couldn't do anything with him, but man, does he take a lot of dumb roles. And I hope that they don't give him another role that's kind of stupid, or you know, that doesn't really bring out the best in him. Because I don't dislike Chris Hemsworth, but I really would like to see him in things that are more suitable for him.
You know, I kind of agree with Clownfish TV's take on who Chris Hemsworth is going to be in that new one.
Okay,
Duke.
it's
Like G.I.
possible.
Joe's Duke. He could, because I mean he kind of had the look when he was I mean, you know, when he's not rocking a beard, he looks like he could play a Duke. Probably be like super ripped and whatnot, but it would be kind of funny because you know it'd be like I'm Optimus Prime in this one, Duke in this one. Oh, it's weird. Oh, and The Gentleman, by the way, because I saw you guys talking about The Gentleman. Great show. I recommend it. There's
I
not a
like
lot of
The
good TV
Gentleman.
on.
I like the movie better than I like the show. I think that the show was good, but the first few episodes were written and directed by Guy Ritchie, and after those two episodes get into the show, I feel like the quality dips just a little bit. I still enjoyed it. I watched the whole series. I don't mind that I watched it, but I feel like I really wish Guy Ritchie would have written and directed all 8 episodes.
Yeah, I wish that too, and I do agree that the movie was better. It's better written, better structured. The
I,
show is not bad.
It's not
Um,
bad. It's not like, you know, it's not something that bothered me. I didn't th I'm not sorry that, I'm not sorry that I watched it, but I just feel like there was a way to do it better.
yeah, true.
So another thing we have is Skydance Media revises Paramount Global bid to make it more attractive to non-controlling shareholders. This has been going on for a very long time, that it looks like Paramount needs somebody to step in and, you know, some kind of merger or buyout or whatever it is. And Skydance is a company that does a lot of business with them. They do all those Tom Cruise movies with them. There's already, like, you know, a sort of partnership there to begin with. So Skydance, which is head by David Ellison, uh, you know, who comes from a very kind of rich mogul family, and I guess
Mhm.
they're just trying to somehow get a hold of Paramount now. I don't know if it'll help Paramount or not. Initially, they made an offer. Then Sony came and said they were making an offer. I basically said that Sony I thought was a ringer. That I didn't think that bid would be taken seriously, and I thought that at the end it would just kind of scare Skydance into making a bigger offer. And that's what it seems like is happening. I don't know what's going to end up here, I don't know if it's even going to help Paramount in any way, but it looks like Skydance has always been the main contender here, and it continues to look that way for me.
Oh, you think that Skydance is going to come out on top?
I feel like Skydance is the more natural partner here. They're already so involved with them, so they can bring the money. It's almost like a seamless transition. That's what it seems like to me. It
Yeah.
would surprise me if Sony, got on board here for many different reasons, but anything is possible.
I don't know,
Uh,
man. After seeing what Sony did today with the state of play for PlayStation, man, I don't know.
I don't really know exactly all about that, but we'll get to that for sure. Mahershala Ali circles new Jurassic World sequel. I'm really tired of these Jurassic World movies. I feel like I like the Jurassic Park movies, but mainly the first one. Then they did the Jurassic World one, which I kind of mainly the first one liked, and then as the it went forward, it felt more of like a diminishing return. Uh, I
No
don't
way,
know that I
man.
need another one now. And with Marshala Ali, like I'm not saying it can't be good. I'm just saying, how many times can we see that same movie? They decide to open the park, and they're like, no, the dinosaurs are here. It's going to be fine. Don't worry about it. And then they open the park, and it turns out that it's not fine because they're dinosaurs. And then the next one, they're like, oh, don't worry, it'll be fine. And then it's not fine because they're the dinosaurs. I feel like there's only a certain amount of time that you can continue to peddle these narratives, unless you can think of something drastically different, for which until now I haven't really seen.
Well, I feel like both movies could exist, although I don't think that we should be doing another Jurassic World movie. I mean, I I don't see him backing out of Blade personally because he's been there for all of those rewrites, and it seems like he really wants to be in this movie and for it to happen. I'll be pretty surprised actually if he backs out of it because it's like all these rewrites have been happening because of his insistence, and like they're collectively not happy with it. He's not happy with it, and so they've been trying to rewrite it and get it just right. And it just seems like Blade is the movie that you want to be the star of, and to back out of it for a movie like a Jurassic World sequel, I don't know. I don't see Marsha Ali doing that. But crazier things have happened.
Yeah,
It's just kind of strange because like it really has been rewritten like a bunch of times, and the stories that I've seen for it, it seems like yeah they don't know what they're doing, but man, I mean I don't know. Could you imagine him backing out for a Jurassic World movie? I don't know.
yeah. I don't know. Yeah. Basically, I think that Blade movie is unnecessary, and I hope they never make it. I think it would be fun if he bailed on that movie because of all the nonsense that happened until now. I think it would be funny, but I suspect that he won't bail on it, like you said. Jurassic World with Marshall Ali. I mean, it's nothing personal against Marshall Ali. He is a decent actor. It's just that I really don't feel like watching another movie with those dinosaurs. It's like I like dinosaurs, but either
Yeah,
give it a rest for a few years or come up with like a new concept, come up with something that really is worthy of making a movie. At this point, I just feel like they're making a movie for the sake of making a movie, but there's nothing really
yeah.
behind it that's justifying it. And maybe I'll be proven wrong. I mean, maybe they'll suddenly make. But what would they hire? Gareth Edwards. Gareth Edwards is him in and of himself like a flawed filmmaker. I think he can do a lot of cool stuff visually and
You said
economically.
Gareth
Even
Edwards.
what'd you say?
Which Edwards did you say?
I think I said Gareth Edwards. That's the
Yeah, Gareth Edwards.
director.
Okay.
Gareth Edwards. He did Rogue One, and then he did the shoot. What's it called? I can't even remember.
Oh yeah, I was
Oh,
actually a big fan of Edwards. I met him in Honolulu at the
you
airport.
did?
Yeah, he was sitting in the airport with his girlfriend, who was the associate producer of. Well, with him, they were making Godzilla together. They had finished it, and they were going to San Francisco to greenlight Godzilla 2. I guess it didn't ended up happening, but with him not directing because they ended up having a different guy. But I was on the way to California for my first active duty army station at the time, so I popped into I bumped into them, and he's like, "Oh, I'm surprised that you know me." He says that no one ever approaches him outside of conventions. This was way back in 2014, though, so It's obviously been a decade, but yeah, he seemed like a nice enough guy. He was pretty cool at the time. I don't know what like I saw The Creator recently, and I wasn't very impressed, but
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you what I think. I think that Gareth Edwards, there's certain things that he does that I'm impressed with. What I liked about the creator was that he managed to take $80 million and make a movie that other studios could have possibly made for $300 million. It was very visually impressive. There were other things that I've seen of his that I thought like he has some certain ideas that I think are impressive, but where he falls short is that he's not really a great storyteller, not great in the sense of like character arcs and storytelling. And
mm,
as with a lot of these people in Hollywood, people tell them, well, you're a great writer. I don't think he's a great writer. I think that you need to give him a really tight script that a great writer wrote, and maybe you can get a pretty good movie out of him. But
yeah.
he's not flawless. He's not like, I see that a lot with Hollywood, that they just find people and they put them on a pedestal like Zack Snyder or something. But at the end, it turns out that they're not as Hollywood claimed.
Yeah, maybe not as good as Hollywood claimed. I will give Gareth Edwards credit for his the way that he uses the resources that he has, because he can make like an entire movie on a very low budget and can push some good looking CGI, like due to his history as a VFX artist in the industry. He's made a lot of crazy VFX stuff over the years, and it's kind of how he was able to accomplish his low budget monster movie. It's called Monsters, I think. And he had like a bunch of cool little CGI, like a couple CGI squid alien monsters in his movie, and he apparently put that together all in his apartment room and stuff, and would like film scenes with a camera using dirty laundry inside of his car window to keep it stable. Cool stuff like that. I give him credit for his efforts using what budget he has to create something special, but I also think that his strengths I think like I agree with you on the whole story writing thing. He needs a good writer. Because I think that's why I haven't really liked or like loved his more recent works, because the writing isn't all there, even though the visual flair is, which is something he's also good at. The VFX stuff, the CGI stuff, he's pretty good at. But yeah, he needs that writing, because without it, I think that his movies suffer. And I've seen recently that he kind of borrows a lot of elements from certain movies rather than focusing on his own vision like he used to. But that's my take on that. I know weren't talking all about Gareth Edwards, but I thought that was interesting what you
No, it's
said. So
okay. I mean, like I said, I think that he's not a bum, but at the same time, he like a lot of these Hollywood people, they take some guy these days and they try to build him up as more than they are. Even Zack Snyder, which I've criticized many times, I think that if you gave him a script that was very well written and you just said, Zack, direct this movie, I think he could probably do an okay job, especially if
yeah,
there's a producer also that not letting him run wild with all this weird slow motion and whatever, just people kind of keeping him in line. There's some visual ideas and ideas that he has that I don't think are terrible. It's just that this idea that you're being told that you're this big auteur and you're a writer and you're this and you're that, and then at the end you're not all those things. And I think that Gareth Edwards, in my opinion, also suffers from some of that syndrome. The
yeah,
creator, I think that there's aspects of it that I was really really impressed with, but I couldn't help but feel that at the end the story falls flat. It's a story that had
yes.
potential, but something about it kind of falls flat at the end.
Yeah, I didn't understand the plotting either fully, especially around like the weapon of that movie. I don't know if you care about spoilers or anything, but
Nah,
um,
nobody cares. The
the whole
five
thing
people that
about
watch it will watched it, and those that didn't probably
I
won't.
know, right? Yeah, those poor souls. But one thing about that movie that kind of bothered me was the whole weapon. Them just like that whole thing was about them like trying to destroy that weapon, right? But it's like if these guys are like all powerful and again and they have and they're able to create weapons like these, what's to stop them from creating another weapon? I mean, you're basically just disarmed a guy temporarily but he could go home and pull another weapon out of his safe, and you'll be in the same situation as before. So I always kind of found that to be weird, because it's like all these sacrifices were made and stuff, but it's like did you really do anything by just destroying the weapon itself, when it just seems like they could just make it again if they wanted to? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. There was a lot of
I
questions
don't
you can
remember.
ask about that movie. If you really think about it hard, like there are things that don't quite make sense there. With that being said, I didn't hate the movie. I thought that there were aspects of it that I liked. It wasn't like walked out and thought this is a terrible movie. I just thought, man, this could have been a better movie. Like he has something that I like, Gareth Edwards, but he didn't fully deliver what he needed to in that movie, and it
Yeah,
kind of felt like a missed opportunity.
I agree. Although I did like some of the aesthetics there, so I think I agree with you there. There were some parts of the movie
Yeah,
that were
yeah,
pretty
it,
cool.
it it wasn't. I didn't watch it and think this is garbage. I didn't think that, but I thought to myself, like, this guy needs a few other people around him to help him. It can't be, he shouldn't have done all of the stuff that he did, because there was a way to bring out, it's an okay movie, but I could have actually been like a very good movie.
Yeah. Also, Denzel Washington's son cannot act, Rita said.
I didn't think he was terrible. I just, the problem he has is that if you compare him to Denzel Washington, then he's no Denzel Washington. He is
No.
not anywhere near Denzel Washington, and I think that probably doesn't work out in his favor. You want this to be a young Denzel, but it's not a young Denzel, and it's really
Yeah.
a high bar because Denzel is so good, and there's something about the way he talks that kind of reminds you of Denzel, but the acting is just not on that level. And
Right.
that's probably a challenge that this guy will have his whole life. It's not necessarily that he's the worst actor, he's just significantly not as good as Denzel Washington while still somehow giving you a Denzel vibe, I guess.
I don't know. I always kind of felt he was a different type of actor. He has acting chops and he performs well, but Denzel has presence, and I think that's the biggest difference between the two. Denzel always has that presence that he brings into the movies with him to
It's
help his performance. So
Denzel, even if you give him a really crappy script, he's going to do so well. Like
yeah,
he's managed to overcome poor scripts, which not many people do. Like there have been some movies that have come on with Denzel Washington. Sometimes on those movie channels or in the middle of the night that I somehow watch, and some of them have been really like not good movies, but because of him, the movie ends up being pretty good. There's one I think that there's like a tornado or something. I don't know. There's a town. There's some kind of storm. He's
yeah,
the sheriff or something like that. Can't even remember anything about that movie. I remember watching it and I was totally like immersed in the movie just because of his acting. I knew I was watching like a B movie at best, but he really, really like does everything to sell it.
yeah. That's
And
Denzel,
yeah, that's him. And then you have was it I can't remember the name of it. The Bone Collector. Have you ever seen that one?
the Bone Collector.
I think it's called The Bone Collector. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But the
Isn't
story
that the
is
one where? Isn't that the one where he's in the military?
no, that's the one where he's disabled. He's laying in bed and he can't move, but he's a
Okay.
former cop. So basically, they give him like an earpiece, and he commands like this whole operation of finding, I think, this kind of serial killer, or whatever it is, where he's basically guiding Angelina Jolie, who has like an one of those kind of earpiece things that like he's giving her commands, and she's going around the city, and they're trying to catch some criminal. It's a movie that could have easily fallen flat, and there's so few actors that you could just have them lay in bed the whole movie, just lay in bed and look in the ceiling, just talk with like the earpiece, and man, I'm mesmerized. Like that guy sells the movie, sells that stupid
So
movie
he's in bed the most of the time.
all the time. He never
Oh
gets.
wow.
I think like 99% of the movie, he is laying in bed and he can't move. He is completely disabled. I think he can move his like pinky or something and lay in bed and tell Angelina Jolie what to do in some kind of earpiece thing. And she goes around the city trying to catch some guy. I'm telling you, it could have been such a failure. It could have been unwatchable. Denzel manages to sell it.
That's amazing. I haven't seen this movie. I have to see it
Yeah,
now.
no, it is amazing, and I like the movie a lot. I mean, I haven't seen it in a while, but I remember thinking to myself when I watched that, man, this guy is really doing some heavy lifting here.
Yeah.
And it's like it's amazing. Like you just have him lay in bed. Like I thought to myself, maybe Denzel said, "Hey, I don't. We have to do this quickly. Let's just have me lay in bed the whole time and give orders."
Yeah, he was trying to rush through it and it ended up just being amazing that way.
Right, exactly. So you had that one. I'm trying to think, and it's not only those two. There's just plenty of them. He always kind of like makes the movie more watchable, more interesting. Whatever, if you give him a screenplay that's like a 6, 7, he can probably bring it up to an 8 just by being there. Uh,
Mm.
Recently there was that I can't remember the name of it. There's some stupid is it called All Good Things? I don't remember. That there's a movie with him, Rami Malek, and Jared Leto about a serial killer.
A movie about a serial killer?
It's on Netflix recently. They bought it from Warner Brothers. I mean, that movie basically he tries so hard. He barely because like that's a weird movie. You have three actors. I think like, Jared Leto is annoying, but I don't think he's a bad actor in certain roles. Rami Malek is generally a good actor, and Denzel Washington is certainly a good actor. And it's like the three of them in a movie, and man, that writing for that movie isn't good. And Denzel Washington works very, very hard to sell it.
Wow. Yeah, well, people can't tell him that he doesn't try.
No, not only does he try, I mean, I feel like at least even the mediocre movie, I can probably watch it once if he's in it. He really manages to do that.
Nice. Yeah, I recently watched him in The Equalizer 1.
That's a good
And,
movie. That's actually a
yeah,
good movie.
it is a pretty good movie. Um, there are parts of it that are generic, but even then, like Denzel just again, he carries that movie. I think
So
I
he
watch it
sells
only
it.
for him.
Even the generic part, he sells it.
Yeah. Yeah, he does a really good job. And people came back for 2 and 3 as well. I think that all 3 movies made a very similar amount of money,
Yeah, but
which is
all three of them
amazing.
stable at the box office. He established that he's doing that thing. People enjoyed seeing it. He has
Yep.
credibility as an actor, and it worked. Yeah.
Yep. Yes, indeed. But yeah, that thing with Marshala Ali, with Blade, I think I don't know. I was a really big fan of Blade back in the day. I loved watching the movies. Even though 3 sucked, I watched it a bunch of times. Um, I was really looking forward to a Blade movie. I think that Mahershala Ali would have been pretty good for it, but you know, I don't think that he backed out of this movie just yet. But it certainly seems like the movie could not happen. I don't know. I think that he could be in both of those movies, but if the movie fails, it can't be because of this guy because he keeps hanging on. And then the writers just keep they keep putting out scripts that suck really hard. So I don't know. Maybe the MCU doesn't deserve a good Blade movie, and that's just why it keeps going downhill. But it's a shame because I mean, think about how long it's been since we've seen anything Blade related. And I'm not talking about just like the animated stuff that's come out recently. I mean like a legitimate Blade movie. It's been a minute. And it just kind of sucks that something that could be really culturally impactful, okay? And you know what I'm talking about. Like for the audiences out there that really want to win, like a Black Panther-esque win, right? I mean, this is like the perfect movie to do something like that. And they can't even get this right. Isn't that weird? Like they just can't get a Blade movie right, even though it's like the one movie that you should be trying to get right, especially if you're Disney. It's just
I
so
mean,
strange to me.
I mean, the thing is that I thought that those original movies with Wesley Snipes did whatever they were supposed to do.
Yeah.
It seems like Disney, especially since they don't want to show graphic things and they don't want to show negative things and they don't want to show things and they don't, I don't know what they don't want to show. It seems like Blade isn't a good fit for them unless you just want some kind of like PG, very kind of sanitized version of it. It doesn't feel like they're the right fit for it to begin with or
They
without
certainly
Mahershala
cannot
Ali.
I know that they're not blind to the potential that Blade has, because we're getting a Deadpool and Wolverine movie, and it's a full-on blatant rated R, and it's like one of the biggest hyping factors of it is that it's going to be rated R and full of, balls to the wall violence and gore probably. And, it's like you want not that Blade should even be a vehicle for, a political ideology or for pushing, Black Lives Matter or anything like that. But it's like, if your argument is that minorities are not getting big enough parts in movies. You want them to, like, the illusion is, well, there's just not enough Black people a part of a white man's movie world, right? But it's like, this is a movie where you can do something like that, and of course it's going to come with a negative side, because obviously Blade is a flawed character, and he's going to be killing vampires. There's going to be violence. He's going to be seen in a negative light by somebody. But if you want to be a part of, it's so stupid, because in reality, real diversity in movies is okay. It's what Disney's doing that is not okay, because that's just like extreme, radical stuff. But this is just that one movie where you should be getting it right. And if you're one, it's like, you can't be afraid. Remember that argument that I was talking about with IGN, how they're like, well, Resident Evil 5, that game can't be made today, because you can't have a white man going to Africa and kill a bunch of Black people who are zombies, right? It wouldn't work in today's day and age.
Right.
But it's like, how are you going to even try to adapt Blade then, if you're not willing to take risks, if you're too afraid to paint, a Black man in a light where it's like, he's flawed? No, it's ridiculous. And it's like, it should be a repeat of Black Panther. You saw success with Black Panther. Like, why is this such a hard thing to get right? Like, you should have your best people on this. I mean, this should be your golden child. I mean, if anything, this should be your big diversity push. It's Blade, right?
Right.
It's just weird. It's weird.
I don't know, man. I don't have much faith in it. I feel like I told you, I liked Wesley Snipes. I thought he was good as Blade. I don't think that they're going to do something better now, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if you see this, but Star Trek Discovery had its series finale.
Oh yeah.
I didn't even bother. I don't watch that show. And I didn't hear anybody even talking about the series finale. I don't think anybody I know that actually likes Star Trek watches this show.
No, I remember talking to a friend about this the other day. Star Trek, yeah, my brother actually really loves Star Trek Discovery, and I cannot even get into it.
I think it's unwatchable. I mean, if you like Star Trek, but that's my opinion.
Well, I heard that some people were saying, well, they're saying it's going to be over, but I bet they're not. They're going to have some kind of comeback season. They're really hanging on to it. I think that a lot of woke people really like this show, and it's been a big tentpole of theirs. Maybe they're afraid to let go of it. Maybe they're not ready for it to end. I don't know. I'm kind of happy it's ending, because maybe we can get doubtful, but maybe somewhere down the line we can get decent Star Trek again. But this show's gone on for quite a while.
Yeah. I think much too long, considering the audience. It was one of those things that the studio just couldn't let it go, because they, for whatever reasons, wanted to. I think because of its politics, it just continued to kind of string this show along, even though it was completely unnecessary. The viewership dropped. Most people I know don't think this is a good show.
Yeah, it's really funny that we're talking about this now, because I had an interesting conversation the other day. Because I have been rewatching. I watched a couple seasons of Enterprise last month, and I've been rewatching The Next Generation. I watched it very young as a kid, and I didn't understand any of it, so I came back and watched it again.
I love Enterprise.
So, oh yeah, me too. I love Enterprise too. I mean, the intro, but the show is really great.
Aside from the song, the song, and nobody likes the song, but the show itself I like.
Yeah, it's great. And in the next generation, it's like I was looking at I was rewatching it and just seeing how amazing the writing was, and especially in the episode in season 2, which I just got done talking to a friend about, The Measure of a Man, where they're trying to determine if Data is, more human than android, and there's a big argument about that, and Riker has to take the opposite stance in court to Captain Picard, and it's just a really compelling episode. I went and watched an episode of Discovery after that, and I'm just blown away by the lack of creativity in the show, and the lack of writing creativity, nuance, and whatever. It was just crap, and and even I was actually one of those people that even back then I would say that Picard season 3 was all right too. But like, man, when you go back and watch those old episodes, it's like today's Star Trek, even Picard season 3, just not even close. It's just
Right.
not even close.
Yeah, I
And
mean, I think that
yeah,
Picard season 3 was flawed. The 1 and 2 are unwatchable. Season 3 was flawed. I said it while watching that there were some issues that I had with it, but even with all that being said, I think that it's better than Discovery. It's still better
yes.
than Discovery. But yeah, the next generation, there's just such great and such interesting and such compelling episodes there. And the one you talked about, Data, I think that one is, I would say, could be considered a classic.
Yes, I didn't know it was a classic until my friend. I was like, "Dude, this episode was crazy." He's like, "Oh, that's one of the biggest ones that people love." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, because man, it was so good." It's just like they don't do that stuff in today's Star Trek. I noticed. Like they don't
No,
tackle compelling themes like that. They usually it's all about the high octane action and like the emotion of it all. Like, and I get it, there's episodes for having emotional moments with people, but dude, these people were like they were tackling really difficult um existential problems. And it's just and it's just crazy, man. I don't good. I'm glad that Discovery's ending. That's my take. Because I'm watching Next Generation, dude. Oh man, not even close.
yeah, I agree. That's actually the next generation is a really great example for how to get a show right. Yeah, some people will complain about the first season or whatever it is, but I really feel like from the second season they find their footing, and I didn't even hate the first season.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Star Trek. Yeah. Were we talking about this the other night? Terry Metalis with Vision. Did we talk about that yet?
Uh, I don't think so. He's supposed to do a Vision show, right?
Yeah, so I guess because of that, and I haven't seen the confirmation myself, but because he's doing that, they're not gonna do Star Trek Legacy, like his spinoff of Picard season 3.
That's too bad because I think that he had something to contribute. I don't know why they waited so long and didn't just hire him to do something because it seemed like he really wanted it, but
Well,
I
they do
can't
that a
get into
lot. They
their
always
mind.
wait too long.
I think part of it was also Alex Kurtzman's ego. He's like, why do I need to bring this guy? Why is everybody singing his praises? Usually, with decisions like that, you think that there's smart people behind them, but many times it's just annoying, egotistical people behind them.
Yeah. It's those
And
egotisticals. Yeah, that's what it is. It's the egos.
and maybe it's a good time also to kind of jump into the stuff that's happening in gaming. Maybe you want to give an update like that.
Well, I've got some things I'm going to tackle in the morning. So just so I'm not like being overly speculative, but I did see the PlayStation State of Play thing today because I think they have this like every year. I don't keep up with State of Play too much, but PlayStation State of Play is where they show off future things that are coming out for PlayStation, basically. So they had like a whole live stream on it that you could watch, and you probably still can. And they just showed off a lot of games that I found very just uninteresting. I I asked Endymion on Twitter what he thought of it because he was watching. He's a YouTuber as well that covers gaming stuff, and he was saying that only a couple games looked interesting, but nothing like really exciting. And I look at the games list, and I'm just thinking to myself, it's like there's some remakes here. Two of them look awful, and the rest are either like they're reboots or they're just I don't know, they're sequels to games that people aren't really interested in. I kind of like Diablo 2, So when I saw Path of Exile 2 was going to come out, I'm a big fan of like ARPGs and JRPGs and you know Diablo. I'm a fan of Diablo like games because I played Diablo 2 for like a decade. Anyway, um, but that looked interesting, I guess. But then they had two games in particular that it just had me screaming on the inside, knowing that like Sony is going down the DEI route hardcore. It's like they're not even trying to hide it anymore. It's like our current administration, right? It's crazy stuff. Like Sony pushes out one. We have a Silent Hill 2 remake. You ever played Silent Hill? Any of the Silent Hill games? Actually, I don't know if you did because you were really like retro on gaming, weren't you?
Yes, I was.
You were
Can,
really retro. Um, so Silent Hill, a horror game series. Okay, amazing. Silent Hill 2, by far my fave, 100%. They're remaking it. Characters look like just oh man, it's really disappointing. I mean, the main character looks all right. He looks okay, I guess, as a remake. You know, they're remaking the old game for the newer consoles. They've
okay.
uglified the woman again in the
Uh,
same way that they uglified the girl in Star Wars, that new Star Wars Ubisoft game. The same way that they've been doing it for a while now. They're doing the same thing again, and it's a Sony, I think, and this is coming from Konami. And it's just like it looks almost like she like this character. I think it's Angela. It's either Angela or Maria. I'm having trouble remembering at the moment, but I've seen the comparisons. They had an enhanced edition, like an enhanced remaster that they made years later that still looks amazing, right? And it's like
right.
she's a really beautiful, skinny lady. She looks chunky and manly here. Like she straight
Oh,
up looks like a, I just I'm shocked. Actually, not that shocked. I'm a little shocked that how brave they are to just show whatever that was supposed to be on a state of play stream, but whatever. And then they have another game which completely dwarfs that game. Okay. This isn't just a remake. This is like an original game. It's like a 5v5 Overwatch game, right? I forget what it's called. But they just go triple, quadruple down on the DEI woke stuff. So they give all their characters that you can play as in this game that's coming out. They give them pronouns. They give the guys pronouns: he, him, she, hers, they, them's, and even the robot character. You could probably see it on my Twitter because I quoted it earlier. But they made the robot character a he, him. They gave that robot pronouns. It's funny because we were watching a video the other night. Or we were just talking about that Atlas movie with Jennifer Lopez, right? Where that robot was like, "Hey, you gotta get my pronouns right, dude."
I
It's
should
literally
really
the
watch that movie. It's probably hilariously bad, but I didn't even get around to it.
yeah, we were yeah, that's what we were talking about. And I was like, dude, you totally got to review that movie. And it's the first thing I thought of when I saw that. I'm like, oh yeah, they're giving another robot pronouns. Like they're really trying to normalize this stuff. I mean, one of the tank characters, you know, one of like the beefy people that are supposed to soak in all that damage. It's just a large fat black woman. I kid you not. Like this is the same thing I saw when I was playing that game, The Finals, where they make that bulky. Like they always have like these in the finals. They have like these subclasses where you can be like a gunner or like a like a heavy gunner or like a light gunner, like a a little stealth person or whatever. And one of the characters in finals that you play as is like it's supposed to be the big tanky character that carries the sledgehammer. And it's just like this weird, overweight, obese looking disproportionate person in like an ultra realistic looking game. And they're doing that same thing here to try and push DEI again. And it's from what I'm seeing, it looks like the studio that's working on that game has actually been consulted with by a consultancy agency that I have reported on in the past. I can't remember if it's called Hit Detection or something, but I've reported on them at least once, and they were pretty obscure because they didn't have a lot of gaming companies under their belts. They didn't have a lot on their page, from what I recall, but they did have that gaming studio on their page, and now it makes sense. So Sony is just pushing these sweet baby like consulted video games that just push the agenda 100% out into audiences' faces, and they're pushing that all over their like their main event streams that they do. And it's alarming because it's in a way, it's not just the state of play, but it's a great indicator of the state of gaming right now. These big companies, they want to push diversity, equity, and inclusion. Man, they do not care what gamers say. They're going for it. Sony's going for it. Microsoft's going for it. Nintendo, I think Nintendo America, I have to say that because there's a difference.
I feel like
Nintendo America's
Nintendo in
trying.
Japan, they're more savvy. Why would they fall for this dumb crap?
Seems like they want this. They keep changing their guidelines, and like Microsoft is pushing down woke guidelines. Make your I'm giving you the gist, but they say make your women ugly. Strongly consider. Okay, that's what they're saying. Strongly consider making your female characters uglier, giving them or like slimming down their proportions. You don't want to offend anybody, right? Make women as ugly as possible so you don't offend the wrong people. BlackRock and Vanguard invested in a bunch of companies, and on their front page, at least on BlackRock's front page, they're pushing DEI. They got a lot of money, and they've got their tendrils in quite a few places in the gaming industry. Microsoft's pushing it down. I mean, it's just there's clearly they have a market for this. Steam, I just released a video yesterday. Steam is doing the same thing. Steam. And by Steam, I mean Valve, who owns Steam and created the Steam Deck and created Half-Life. They're making a new video game that has just leaked. And their leaked game shows that they're doing the exact same thing that this state of play video game that they showcased today is doing. Making one of their characters a straight up non-binary trans character who goes by they them pronouns, and even interweaves those facts about that character into their overall lore. So they're pushing this stuff so hard, man. Even in Valve, Valve, who owns Steam, yeah, that's huge. And it brings into question, it's like, do we stop buying a bunch of Steam games? I don't know. I think that we need to just call out the bad and attack the very idea still, and just vote with your wallets on projects so that you can send messages to these companies without trying to destroy everybody's lives and careers, of course. But I think that the best way to do this is just to not attack the product, but just don't purchase that product if you're wanting to send any kind of message. Just vote with your wallet. I've always felt that that's a good message to send, but I think that it should be made clear that these companies, they seem to have every intention to do this. And I don't think, even when Helldivers 2 situation pops up where 300,000 people are writing bad reviews suddenly and giving refunds for their game, that's not always going to work. And I think that, man, we need to wake a lot more people up, because I think that this stuff is ramping up. And I always kind of looked at Sweet Baby Inc. as a kind of like a small fish, someone to report upon and keep accountable. But I always kind of saw them as a small fish. I never realized how deep in this that they were. And I always had it in the back of my mind. I'm like, man, it's so weird that Valve is on their front page, right? Because it's like, how do you get Valve to hire you to do stuff? But it's here, baby. And PlayStation's just like, hey, hope you guys like it. By the way, a lot of people did not like State of Play, but yeah, my rant is complete. My job is done.
I don't know why. While you were ranting, something just popped up that kind of amused me. But it was a good rant,
What was
by
that?
the way.
Thank you.
This thing. Young Woman in the Sea review. Daisy Ridley inspires as first woman to swim the English Channel in Disney's splendid biopic. Somehow between Daisy Ridley and Disney and all that stuff, how excited can I get about something like this?
Wait, this is this another Daisy Ridley project?
Yeah, and it's a Disney Daisy Ridley project. I wonder if when they tried to lure her back to do another movie, her agent was like, "You also got to do a separate movie where she swims in the Atlantic Ocean."
Dude, if it wasn't a Disney movie, I'd watch her. I don't hate her. I just hate. Yeah.
I don't hate her either. I don't hate her. I honestly, when I first saw Force Awakens, I thought she was likable enough. I didn't have anything personal against her, and I still don't. I don't have anything personal against the actress, but
Yeah.
man, did she make herself kind of, you know, it's hard to forget the crappy roles they gave her in that Star Wars sequel trilogy. It's really hard to forget it for some reason.
Yeah.
It's not her
Um,
fault, but it is what it is.
she was in a movie with what's his face? Tom Holland. It was like some kind of like out in the woods sci-fi thriller thing. I haven't seen her in that, but I think that was like the only movie I saw that she played in that was not Disney, or at least recently. Not a lot going on, but honestly, yeah, she's not like that bad. I just like, I think she really needs to get far away from Disney. I know that her heart is in the right place. Excuse me, somewhat, because I mean, I know people have their opinions about what's his face, the guy who plays Finn, John Boyega.
Okay.
Some people have their thoughts about him. She said that she didn't want to do the new Star Wars movie without him. She seems to have her heart in the right place, at least with recognizing, you know, the people that had potential in the series before. But I
I
think
think
that
that
she,
was the biggest blunder. I like the actor, like that, Finn. I think he's a good actor, and I think he had
yeah,
something even as the character, even in J.J. Abrams' stupid movie, that
yeah,
character had some kind of potential. Completely squandered, especially if you go into the second movie and they just humiliated the character,
I
made him a
know,
joke from that moment until the end of that stupid trilogy. But John
yeah,
Boyega as Finn actually did have some potential.
he did. I agree. He had so much potential, and he, I when I was watching The Last Jedi, I expected that. I know my expectations were just unrealistic now looking back, but I kind of thought that they were setting it up to where he had the potential to be a Jedi, and could have come back strong and like learned had a bunch of revelations. But it's like this dude's like walking around in a watery, like squirty little like what's the Colto tank kind of thing, and it's just like they just ruined him, especially in 3. Oh my goodness. But yeah, he had so much potential. I actually thought that the stormtrooper, if there's anything good about that movie, I thought that the stormtrooper turning from, their duties to not, commit an evil act was a pretty interesting tale. They just never capitalized on that. It could have been so good. Not to go off on a rant about Star Wars or anything, but anyway, I think that Daisy Ridley, she just needs to get far away from them, because I think the longer she stays, I think the more it'll hurt her career. She really hasn't been in anything since, and I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't think Lucasfilm has really helped her career. I mean, I'm sure she made money and it's fine, but I don't think people are really itching to see her after that sequel trilogy.
Yeah,
And most times you throw her in a movie, the movie kind of bombs or whatever. She hasn't been such a big draw that you want to go see her in movies. Some of it is the fault of Star Wars and how that's managed. If you saw that and it was the most awesome thing ever, I think there'd be a bit of goodwill towards her, but there isn't.
true.
Even though I don't personally dislike her, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I think Ayav Nodic added to your point when they said when they torched the ancient Jedi texts, I stopped caring about anything to do with Star Wars. That was horrible. That was
Right.
horrible. That's horrible when
And
they did that. I feel bad for Daisy because her big breakout is a dud. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, if I were an actor on those sequel trilogy movies, it's quite a weird roller coaster ride. The first movie, there was so much goodwill from fans. It's like the movie could barely do any wrong just because so many people were excited to have a Star Wars movie. But once you got the Last Jedi movie, it derailed the entire trilogy, ruined any fun around it, and made you just not care about any of the characters. And
Yeah.
I've rarely seen a movie that managed to really annoy people the way that like Last Jedi does, in the sense of that it doesn't care about its story or anything. Uh, and it's just a shame that it ruined the whole trilogy, and in a way also maybe the franchise itself.
True.
all
True.
because of a bunch of people with egos and stuff like that, which is annoying.
What do you think was worse, The Last Jedi or Rise?
You know, they're both very bad movies for different reasons. I would say that Ryan Johnson may be seemingly more competent in making a movie, but his entire movie is a big middle finger to anybody that's ever liked this franchise. Whereas J.J. Abrams, it's not, I don't think that you're watching Rise of Skywalker and he purposely wants to give you a middle finger as much as he's just an idiot and out of his element.
That's a good way of looking at it, yeah.
But at the end of the day, it doesn't change the fact that both of these movies are a disaster. They are awful
Yeah.
movies, both of them. I couldn't watch either of them now. You'd have to pay me a lot of money for me to sit through them. And even then, with all the money, I'd be like annoyed. But I guess if you're like, here's $1 million, watch this, then maybe I'd do it.
Yeah, maybe so. Maybe that. Like, okay, I guess.
Yeah, for $1 million, I'll watch this stupid movie again. But I mean, I'm not going to enjoy them even with $1 million. There's nothing you can do to make me enjoy those movies.
We'll pretend to. We'll put on the best performance you've ever seen, but
For
no, no.
sure. And you know, there's something here. I see Hugh Jackman is saying it's not easy being Wolverine at 55. I think he looked pretty good in the trailers. It seems like he has been working out and keeping in shape and all that. Yeah, it's not easy at age 55. And it just shows you how desperate Kevin Feige is, that they're like, please, you got to come back. We need you here.
Yeah, I guess I sort of see his age starting to show in the new movie, but
He
dude, he can
can't
still
do a
get
million
ripped.
of them. He won't be able to do a million
Yeah,
of these. He could somehow get away with one, but it's not perfect.
yeah. But he still is able to get more ripped than any of us ever could. So I mean,
Yeah, no. Compared to me, he looks very ripped, but nobody's paying me like, $20 million to be Wolverine. I mean,
I know.
no,
Yeah.
but listen, as long as they put a good costume on him and they just he goes to the gym, I think a lot of people will accept a lot of things. But I still don't think you can do this for a million more movies. And they wasted so much time until they made this movie too.
I actually predict they're just going to kill him in the new one, in this new Deadpool movie. Because if you think about it, are they really going to want to put Hugh Jackman in? I mean, he's probably not going to want to do it, and they're probably not going to want to put him in more movies as Wolverine. They're probably looking for some fresh Wolverine blood. They've likely even probably found their new Wolverine already.
So woman Wolverine.
No, I hope not.
Well,
No.
they had his daughter. They had that daughter of his that they were like playing, building up in that final movie with him. So I
Yeah,
always
true.
thought that like, the Disney would go and try to build on that idea.
Oh, yeah. I
And,
don't
well,
know.
I wouldn't put it beside them. I mean, that's what they like to do, so it's possible.
I hope not. I really want to. I really want
Or
a
they'll have
new
like a
Logan.
they'll have like a new actor, but it'll be like a Timothy Chalamet type. It'll be some kind of more soy based one, which will be
Yeah,
annoying.
yeah. I still think they should go with Taron Egerton, like one person suggested a while back. The guy from oh gosh, what's that one with
Kingsman or
yeah,
whatever it is.
Kingsman. Yeah.
He's all right. I don't dislike it, but I don't dislike the actor. But I don't know. I don't know if he'd be a good Wolverine. Hard for me to say.
Hmm. Yeah. I think he's got the chops, but I feel like they're just gonna I feel like Wolverine's gonna die in this new movie and they're gonna want to replace him. I heard or I read a rumor that he was gonna have an alternate version of Wolverine, like a couple different Wolverines in the movie, including uh like a mob boss version of Wolverine. But we'll see.
I see that Backyard Artist is saying Sony did this during PS3 generation. They feel that they are too big to fail and don't listen to gamers until they get a wake up call of a console failure. Maybe.
Yeah. Well, they when the Helldivers thing went down, Sony was like not apologizing, but they're like, okay, we cave to the PC players because our most successful game got wrecked reception wise. But then again, even after they had done that, they had still locked out those regions that people were complaining about could no longer access the game because of PSN. So those are issues that still have yet to be rectified. And it's like even when Sony, it seems like even when Sony allegedly or like perceptively quote unquote learns their lesson, they somehow still don't learn their lesson. And even in some ways, they take that lesson that people think they've learned and they double down in the opposite direction. Like, for example, the Stellar Blade controversy with the censorship on the outfits. A big thing about that I haven't really been a fan of is how everyone's kind of taking what Sony and Shift Up did with Stellar Blade as a victory, because the idea was that gamers were speaking out against censorship 100%. Like, they wanted those specific outfits just completely uncensored. I even suggested in the past that they could just put an on-off switch for some of those outfits. It's like you could have the censored version or the uncensored version. That is like the easiest thing to do, and other games have done that before too. But they don't want to do that. It's like you either have to have the censorship in there, or you don't have anything. It's like, it's weird. But what happened is that Sony, instead of undoing that censorship, they added a bunch of new outfits that I guess were more revealing, or equally as revealing on the main character. For example, I'm not I don't have like a I'm not like extremely passionate about her having super revealing outfits. I just don't really agree with censorship at all. But what happened is that like I said, instead of uncensoring those outfits as requested by the petition and by gamers everywhere, they instead added a bunch of outfits and kept those censorship aspects in there. It's like, oh, it's a victory. And that's what I'm saying, is like Sony doesn't learn their lessons. Like Backyard TARDIS was saying, they did this since the PS3 generation. Yeah, I don't see them stopping anytime soon. It seems like they're tripling down. Gamers have expressed their disdain for both woke ideology being injected in video games and for, criminal pricing or, marketing practices. Sony is not backing down on either of those from where I'm standing. So that's just me, though.
Well, another thing that's interesting is that I guess Paramount Plus was supposed to have Dungeons and Dragons live action series, but now that's not going forward. I wonder.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I don't think that the movie did especially well. I watched it. It was really a tough viewing for me. I wasn't especially interested in it, but I did watch it. Didn't love it.
Wow. Another great idea down the toilet. I didn't even know that they were doing this.
No, I didn't know either.
Dang. I would have loved to see that. But I'm kind of skeptical too.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I one would hope it would have been better than the movie, but who knows if it would have.
Yeah, maybe if they put Daisy Ridley in it. So they're not going to move forward. So that's it. Oh, it's going to be shopped by Hasbro.
Oh yeah, they're shopping it around, but they always say that kind of. I'm not saying that nobody will pick it up, but most of the time when they say, "Oh, we'll still shop it around," the chances of it actually getting made are usually low. Not impossible, but usually low.
So if they were to do, I don't know, they say they were going to revamp it. They could totally do a Dungeons and Dragons series, but they'd have to like go dark, or at least not be afraid to just go all out. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like Dungeons and Dragons, like story wise, like it's not exactly for the faint of heart. Like that new Dungeons and Dragons movie, I enjoyed it. It wasn't bad. Like, I just think that like me historically and my history with Dungeons and Dragons, it's a different atmosphere, or at least a different mood. But yeah, it's a shame though. Would have been fun. We could use a good TV show.
This is another weird thing. I don't know if you saw it. There was some weird article about Ahsoka composers and how they connected the series to Anakin and Darth Vader. Who's even talking about that show? Nobody cares about it. It was already a long time ago. It was complete crap. It was a complete failure for Disney. Who pushed this weird fluffy article now? Probably Disney themselves, but I'm trying to understand why. Like, why'd you push this? Nobody cares about this.
I wasn't really all that impressed by the music.
No, it was nothing. It was crappy like the show. Like, there's nothing. Yeah. I don't understand why they're doing a victory lap now, and why the variety is
Well, you
keen
can
on promoting this.
you could answer that question that the title asks. It's like how does the music connect series to Anakin Skywalker and Darth Vader? Because it's Star Wars. It's supposed like they're of course they're gonna try and emulate John Williams in their new composition for Ahsoka. So it's I mean, you Variety knows the answer to that question. Dumb,
Right.
so dumb. They're so stupid.
True.
So
Yeah, they
stupid.
ask all these dumb questions all the time. Don't know what to tell you. Um, just trying to get out of this. Can't even
The media being the media, they're mediating.
totally mediating. I guess maybe prior to the release of this, maybe Lucasfilm wants there to be some buzz, people talking about Star Wars. That's their way of doing it. But it's almost like I wish the numbers weren't there.
Yeah. When is that? Do you know by chance when that Ray movie is supposed to come out?
I saw there was the other day, I think there was an interview with Daisy Ridley, and she was boasting on how the guy that does Peaky Blinders is going to write a screenplay for it. But as of now, she hasn't seen anything. There's talk of that guy writing a screenplay. Now, Stephen Knight is a good screenwriter, but man, between that Pakistani activist, not that I have anything against the fact that she's Pakistani, but she is just a Pakistani activist. That's what she is.
Right.
Uh, I guess maybe that's not nice. I can just say she's a female activist or whatever it is. Uh,
What's her name? Like Charmin Obaid Chinoy,
right, yeah.
the
It's
one who's
just that I
like
say that
the
Pakistani
force
because
of
it's something
female.
very niche. It's like a very niche within a niche thing, but it's
Yeah.
not that it really matters. She could have been from Austria and still been a feminist
Yeah.
propaganda person, and it would still be annoying. It's not like because it's from Pakistan, it's any kind of difference. But at the end of the day,
True.
she's an activist. Daisy Ridley, this isn't a role that anybody really is itching to see her in again. And Stephen Knight is a good writer. I just don't know if he'll be able to write anything here.
I agree with you there. I also would love to point out that it's funny that Charmin Obaid Chinoy or Obaid Chinoy posted that thing or said that thing in that interview about women finally being in charge of Star Wars, only for Leslie Hudlin to beat her in the race.
Right.
Oh man. Oh, sorry. Small victories. Small victories.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? So I think we went over that. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Do you have anything really pressing? Something that we talked about on a stream earlier, and this is something that my friend Tom Connors from Midnight's Edge has been doing a lot of research on. I guess people are still trying to cancel Richard Dreyfuss because he made a few comments that people felt didn't sit well. But personally, I don't really care.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I think that there's this thing where they take these guys that are in their like 70s or late 70s and they're trying to have all these gotcha questions. It's like,
Yeah.
he said something like, "Oh, like I think little kids should just, shouldn't be gender reassigned." And people are like, "How dare you say such a thing? How dare you say such a thing?" And it's like, that's his opinion. Why can't he say it? You know what I mean? Like, why can't you say such a thing? The fact that saying such a thing is considered that, you're cancelable and you're no longer a person, I think that's wrong.
Yeah. I know that there's got to be a saying out there somewhere about how like the sometimes that your desire to have control and power will cause you to forego all reason and logic.
Right.
Seems like that's the kind of thing, the young people or I mean the quote unquote young people are trying to push the old people out. How dare you do this? How dare you do that? Sylvester Stallone. How dare you do this? What's that guy's face that you're just talking about?
Richard Dreyfuss, yeah.
Yeah, Richard Dreyfuss. And it's just
I mean,
most
it's a
people.
legitimate opinion. Forget about what my opinion is. The fact that a guy says, "Hey, I think little kids shouldn't be, doing this." It's fine. That's his
Yeah,
opinion. Why is that considered something that should end your career and end your life and end everything because you said that? There's something wrong, if people can't make just any kind of comment like that, especially one that involves little kids. I mean, it's legitimate to say something.
Well, it's they try to shut it down because it's a legitimate argument, and if you actually tried to apply it to their logic would be destroyed in like just a couple of seconds. They can't because it is common sense. Like children should not. So, but if you try to say that to these people, they'll try to cancel you because, of course, that makes sense. That's the right answer. You can't have the right answer in today's society. If you do, you're cancelable. You're cannon fodder. You're disposable. You're
Yeah,
expendable.
yeah, no, but it's true. That's exactly the way it is.
Rita said, Price, you did not say anything wrong by saying she is Pakistani. She is citizenship and all. And I agree.
Right. I mean, it wasn't. All I was saying was, it's not that I was trying to say that, like, okay, because she's Pakistani, that means she's a bad person or something like that. But I'm just saying that she comes from a place where there's people bitter at a certain regime, and from interviews that she was saying, she wants to take like her anger of over things like that and insert it into Star Wars, and
Yeah.
quote unquote make men feel uncomfortable and all this weird stuff. And I don't think it has any place in Star Wars. I just think that doesn't seem like a good fit for me,
Make
in
men
my opinion.
uncomfortable. What a golden marketing strategy. Make your customers uncomfortable. Like, it's amazing.
It's very weird. I see this. So let's see if I can share it. So I don't know. Jennifer Aniston wants to reimagine 9 to 5. Again, can't anybody think of one new idea? Why does everything have to be an idea that used to be and now you're trying to do it again? Think of something new.
So, unfortunate for the media, I've seen 9 to 5. I actually have done my homework on that movie. And
I
I
saw it
know
years
exactly what they would
ago.
do.
Oh, this would be like the anti-patriarchy
Oh, yeah.
extravaganza. What would happen there? The
They
the
would
orig-
absolutely do that.
the original movie had its charm. It was of its day, and I don't see why you would need something like that today. Today, all the women bark at men anyways, so I don't know how realistic it is.
Yeah. That movie, it's like you could just, to be honest, you could take 9 to 5 and just do it shot for shot, and they would still call it like their woke champion movie or like their feminist masterpiece. But I guarantee that they would do something crazy with this movie in this day and age and still find a way to rewrite it and make it worse.
I feel like at some point, all these studios are going to finally realize that all of this stuff that they're doing is crap and nobody wants to see it. And there will be a turning point where they will actively try to kiss customers' asses.
Uh, Jennifer Aniston. No. Wait, so is she starring in it? Oh, is she directing it?
Let me see for a second. Okay, hold on.
Producing.
I guess initially all the three ladies thought of reprising their roles, but it's not going to happen.
Oh, so the Juno writer Diablo Cody. So that person wrote the script. I don't even know if it's a he
That's
or
a
she.
woman, yeah. That Diablo Cody lady, she is very kind of feminist in her ideas or whatever. Not that it matters. I mean, for a movie like this, it would make sense that they'd be feminist, but man, I have very little faith in it.
Interesting. I wonder how she views things these days because I remember seeing Juno. Now I'm kind of curious what kind of take she's going to have. I remember watching Juno. I don't know if her beliefs have changed since then, but the movie was pretty anti-abortion. Just saying.
Here, and look at these articles in the Hollywood Reporter. Richard Dreyfuss slammed for alleged sexist and homophobic comments at Jaws screening. It's like,
Yeah.
dude, so the guy is already in his late 70s. You think he has time for any of this crap? You can come up to people that are like later in life that have lived a full life and just tell them, no, now you have to say this, now you have to do that. Why are you thinking this? Why are you thinking that? Because that's what he thinks, you know?
Yes.
And there's probably a lot of just like, average people that agree with him. But in his case, really hard to explain to him all this stuff. He's in his 70s. It doesn't speak to him. And I kind of respect that.
True. Yeah. It's respected too. Like most of the people who complain about him are just young people without jobs anyway. And Crap. So, oh, hello, angry Canadian. Late to the party? No, not at all. That's so that AC's on the Rumble side. And also, big hello to Josh. Josh, nice to see you again. Empress, nice to see you again. James Carroll's here. Oh man, these guys have been chatting. Nice to see
Why
you
are they
guys.
doing a Romeo and Juliet theater thing with Tom Holland? It says he
What's up, Whalem?
disappoints in restoring to stage, but another
No
star is born.
way. So there's a review for this now? Okay, so
Yeah.
this is something interesting to go over because
Oh, and they like the diverse lady. They're like, Tom Holland isn't good enough, but Francesca Amedure Rivers is magnificent.
so they're
Like,
saying that Tom Holland is crap
and the other
and
lady
that
is
this
fantastic.
of course they are. Of course they are. They can't have her look bad. She's been slammed online for looking nothing like a Juliet-esque character.
They'll have to. They're going all the way. They're all a full shill.
Dude, that is crazy. I can't believe. All right, what does this say? Where's the one? Where's she being praised about? That is just insane.
Somebody said here, Ibn Muhammad says WKRP in Cincinnati was better. Used to watch with my mom as a kid. Yeah, that show had its own thing going on. I kind of liked it.
Wow. Do you really think that she outperformed Tom Holland?
I don't know. I think that Tom Holland takes a lot of crappy roles, and this whole thing looks stupid, and I'm happy that I didn't go see it.
Me too.
Somebody here is saying, I've tried to learn that WKRP song. It's a bit tough, isn't it? WKRP in Cincinnati, or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly, but it's something along those lines. Doesn't seem that hard to master, but I don't remember any other words in it. So maybe I shouldn't be talking.
Wait a minute. Oh, hey, it's impossible. Lloyd is the actress, right? Plays Juliet. Okay,
It is yes. Yeah, I
so
think. Hold on. Let's see. No. Amedure Rivers.
Oh, okay. Wait, while other actors and their characters are diminished by Lloyd's lower key passages. Amewuda Rivers. Okay, gotcha. I don't know, man.
Yeah, it seems to be something that nobody wanted. Another one of those things that nobody wanted. And finally, just for just a little final thing, and I talked about this on another stream earlier today. It seems that the Furiosa box office flop is causing it so that George Miller's other Mad Men movies have been frozen, and I can understand why, because it was unnecessary. Nobody wanted it, and it's just going to be a huge loss.
Yeah. I still find it hilarious that it was competing with Garfield for lowest box office opening for Memorial Day.
At least Garfield did it for $60 million, so it's
True.
pretty much in the black. It's not going to lose money, whereas Furiosa cost $168 million, and I don't think it's going to make it back.
It's a huge mistake not to put Max in the movie. I know some people are critical for people who say that, but I mean, what did you expect? You fooled audiences the first time by putting Max on the back burner hardcore on Fury Road. People have become skeptical. People have forgotten about Furiosa after all these years, not because of what was in the previous movie, just forgotten about being interested in her being in a movie or having her own movie.
She was an annoying bait and switch then, and she's even a more annoying bait and switch now. And I actually like the actress. I like Anya Taylor-Joy, but the thing itself is crap.
Yeah, man, it's a shame because you could have had something special here. If it doesn't go through, then it's really his own fault because you tried to you wanted to expand and build your universe, but you wanted to have your foundation be someone who wasn't even Mad Max. It's kind of an insulting thing to do.
For sure.
Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah, what can you do? I think that I don't want to see any more Mad Max movies. I think The first two were the really good ones. The third one back in the day was just whatever. Fury Road was very, very mediocre, and this thing feels even more unnecessary as a prequel to the other movie that was unnecessary.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
So it's a shame, but it is what it is. And before we go, I just want to let everybody know that Dread Roberts is doing a great job when it comes to reporting on gaming stuff. And if you're not already following his channel on Rumble, it is you just enter dreadroberts.com, DREADROBERTS, and press enter, and his information will come up. Whatever platform you're on, I highly recommend his videos. He reports on a lot of gaming news, and it's cool to kind of pay attention to what he's doing, just so you can stay on top of it.
Thanks, man. You got to follow Price of Reason.
that is always very welcome. Or Price of Reason Live is also good. I want to thank everybody from Backyard TARDIS, Putin's Cat, Rida Ibn Muhammad, Willem03, Putin's Cat, Backyard TARDIS. I hope I didn't say people's name twice, but you know what I'm saying. Eye of Nordic, also thank you. Hessman's Lounge. So yeah, a lot of great people. Angry Canadian, James Carroll. So I thank everybody for that. And is there anything more you wanted to kind of talk about before we go?
Only that we will be here Tuesday again, and
on Tuesday for sure.
And just keep an eye out for content from both me and Price. I'm sure he's got things cooking. I've got things cooking too.
For sure. Yeah, hopefully I'll be able to post some videos, and your videos are always good as well. And
hopefully he watches Atlas.
I'll try to watch it. It sounds awful, but I'll try to watch it. All right, man. I think that we can tell the people that are here good night. Again, really great people. James Correll added himself recently.
Yep. Good to talk to James.
Yeah, no, I think that's good. Empress NM, James, Joshua Calkins, a lot of great people.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you guys all have a good night too, and we'll see you guys on Tuesday. And yeah.
Yep. So you guys all have a good night, and we'll see you guys on Tuesday. Good night, everybody.
Later.